Welcome guys to the next installment of the Trading Basics series. In this video, we'll be covering options. Now in the beginner series, we discussed the different kinds of markets in terms of stocks, bonds, commodities, and currencies. What options are an additional layer on those core markets. What is that layer? Let me try and explain this in a very simple manner. Let's say two people come together to have a deal. On this date, 3 weeks later, I will sell you Apple stock for $100 a share and 10,000 Apple stock. All right. You see, that's the deal. But with an option, one person gets the power to say yes or no to the deal. If he wants on the finalized date, he can say no to the deal. And if he wants on the finalized date, he can say yes to the deal. So he has an option to go ahead with the deal or not on the day the deal is set for. And that's why it's called an option, because you have a choice to go through with it or not go through with it. So one thing you have to realize is that an option is on something, right? In this case, it was on Apple stock, or it can be on a currency, or it can be a commodity like gold and oil. But the deal has to be on some core product, and the option is on something that's core, right? That's a core market. This is why options are called derivatives, because they're not standalone. They need to have a product like stocks, commodities, currencies, something that the deal can be done on. So this is the basic framework or an idea behind an option. Now in this story, think of it. If someone gets the choice to go through with the deal or not go through with the deal on the decided date, then they should pay some money to the other party, right? Because they are getting the privilege to say yes or no on the finalized date. And the other party on the other side of the trade is providing the service of being there if they say yes. So they should get paid, which means the buyer of the option, aka the person who gets to choose on the final date if they want to go through with the deal or not, pays the other person who will be their counterparty. You have to realize you get a choice, you have to pay for that choice. It's not free. And that's what an option price is. That's what's called a premium. So the buyer of the option, the person who will make the choice on the decided date, pays the seller of the option a fee for having the privilege to choose on the decided date. So this is the basic idea behind options. There are two kinds. It's called calls and puts. We'll go in the differences of both of them in the next slides. From this example alone, you should have realized that an option is defined by the core product, aka stock, currencies, commodities, whatever it is. It's called the underlying. That core product is called the underlying. It's defined by a date because you have to do the deal on a certain date. And it's defined by a strike price. What is the strike price? Strike price is the price that's decided upon in the deal. For example, on this date, I will sell you Apple stock for $100 a share. That's the strike price. It's the price that's been decided on in the contract. So let's begin with the call option. The call option on the final date, on the date of the deal, it allows the buyer of the option to say yes to buying the stock at the strike price. If he wants, he can say no. So in this case, if you think about it, why would he say yes? He would only say yes if in the deal price that's written down, the strike price is less than price of the Apple stock available in the market. So in the deal, let's say you can get Apple stock for $100 a share, but in the market right now, Apple is trading for $105. In that case, the buyer of the option would want to buy that Apple stock for $100 a share. Then go in the market, sell it at $105 and be done. Get a profit. If the Apple price in the market, if the stock price is less than 100, then the buyer of the option has no desire to do the deal because he can get the Apple stock for less than 100 in the market. Why would he want to do the deal at 100? So in that case, he would say no. What that means is that option expires worthless because on that final date, he decided not to do the deal. So it expires worthless. If he decides to do the deal, that option expires in value because that option has value because the person wants to do the deal. And how much value does it have? It's the difference between the strike price and the market price. So by this example, it's already obvious that as the stock price will go up, the value of the option will go up. Because if you can do the deal at $100 a share and you can sell it in the market for 105 or 107, you can see as the stock price will go up, the value will go up. Now, what's the intrinsic value and extrinsic value? These will be terms that are used to define an option. The intrinsic value is defined as, let's say, option expires today, right? Like today is the date of the deal and the option expires right now. The worth of the option is called intrinsic value. So in this case, the worth of the option will simply be the share price in the market minus the strike price. The extrinsic value comes from the time left to expiration. So let's say if the deal will be done a month later, in that case, you have time on your side where the stock price, let's say right now it's below 100, but it can go above 100. The time factor, the value we assign to it is called extrinsic value. Now let's discuss the other kind of option, which is called a put option. In the put option, the buyer of the put can decide to sell to the other party a certain amount of stock at a certain price. So you see the difference between call and put. In the call, the person who decides to make the deal or not gets to buy the stock at a certain price, at the deal price. The buyer of the put option gets to sell the stock at the deal price. So why would he want to sell the stock? At what point does he get an advantage? That would be if he can buy it cheaper from the market. So let's say again, Apple in the market right now is at 95 and the strike price, the deal price is $100. So what the person can do is buy in the market for 95 and then go and sell right away at 100. That's when he would want to exercise the deal, right? That's when he would want to do the deal because he will make a profit. What if the market stock price for Apple is 104? Then in that case, he would not want to sell it at $100 for the deal. He would just go to the market and sell the Apple at 104, right? So the buyer of the put option decides if he wants to sell his stock and do the deal or not. By that case, you realize that the value of the put option will increase as the stock price goes down. Why? Because the buyer of the put option can buy in the market for cheaper and then sell it at the deal price. So the cheaper he can buy, the more profit he will make. So if he can buy the Apple stock at 95 and then do the deal at 100, he would make $5 profit per share. But if he could buy the stock in the market at 90 and then do the deal at 100, he would make $10 per share. So you can see the value of the put option should increase as the stock goes down because you can make more of a profit on a potential deal. Intrinsic value and extrinsic value are defined the same way again. If today is the date of the deal, if the option expires today, how much value would it have right now? It's called intrinsic value. As we just defined in the case of the Apple $100 strike put option, it would only have value right now if the Apple stock price in the market was less than the 100 deal price. So that's the intrinsic value. The extrinsic value is derived from the amount of time left till expiration because time allows the price to move in profit or not. So trying to tie it back all together, coming back to the basic, what would define an option's price? The price of the option, right? The privilege to choose if you want to do the deal on a certain date or not in the future will depend on what? It will depend on the price of the underlying, right? The price of the stock itself. If the market price of the stock is, let's say, higher or lower, that would move the value of the option as we just established in the call option, put option examples. The second would be time left till expiration. The more time you have, the more potential for the option to gain value or lose value. So that would define the price of the option. And then third and final thing is implied volatility of the underlying. How much is the stock moving? If the stock is moving in 1% in a day compared to if it's moving 10% in a day, that would vastly change the price of the option. Let's say you have 1 day left till when the deal has to be done. Okay. A stock that's only moving 1% in a day compared to one that can move 10% in a day, you can see why the value of these two should be different because one will have a higher chance to be in profit when the day of the deal arrives. So those were the basic things about options. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the noob chat to me. Now, one thing I do want to mention is options will be affected quite a significant amount by economic events. And you have some important economic events every week. So that's why we have an economic events channel where you can keep track of the events that are about to happen next week. And I want you to refer to this every single week and mark down all the important dates on which something big will happen. Like last week, we had the Fed Chair Powell talking, which moved the markets quite a bit. And you want to be aware of those kind of events. All right, guys, that was it for the Trading Basics series. Now you're going to do a Trading Basics quiz. I should be picking up questions from whatever we have learned so far. And after that, a lot more channels will open up to you, including daily analysis, options analysis, and all kinds of stuff. So if you have any questions, ask them in the noob chat. And then after the Trading Basics quiz, you can also ask me in Ask the Professor channel. I will see you guys in the next video.